The concept of Nietzsche's Zarathustra gateway vision, as opposed to Zarathustra's death visions, is a metaphor for the emergency of Ulmer's avatar. Heidegger writes of Nietzsche about the eternal return, that our world, or Cora, will occur an infinite number of times, is promising to the rise of the avatar in electricity. This emergence of the moment, the opening of the dramaspheric now, allows for the emergent avatar to make a stand, to witness the opening of the Cora, the sacred space of the avatar. The open is Heidegger's empty space, which is required to keep life in play, and play is one of the institutions of electricity. Zarathustra, or Zoroaster, the founder of the Zoroastrians, an ancient Persian religion, was reimagined by Nietzsche as the one who turned morality on its head. Through Nietzsche's parable of the death of God, Zarathustra rejects the asceticism of Western thought and says yes to his own life, thus giving rise to possess a moment of pure happiness, the gay Scienza. In Zarathustra, Nietzsche also gives birth to the prophecy of the Übermensch, Superman, or Beyond Man, the one who succeeds God as the creator of new values. Because of the prophecy of the Übermensch, nihilism cannot prevail. The emergence of the avatar can be viewed as the Übermensch, who will manifest and descend into the electorate world. Ulmer also describes the idea of the daemon within this chapter. In order to better understand daemon, it is important to know the root of the word. It comes from the Greek daemon, which refers to benevolent nature spirits. These spirits were something in between divine and mortal. Throughout history, these daemons can be summarized as being guiding spirits or a guardian angel. However, in contemporary psychology, daemon refers to the natural human impulse to perpetuate the self. In addition, it is described as genius. This notion came from the evolution of the daemon from something that existed outside of the body to a force within oneself that served for inspiration. Ulmer explains that this idea reached culmination in the romantic notion of talent and individual genius. Ulmer continues to explain that the daemon causes an inner split between the physical body and the virtual body. The virtual body is essentially imagination, and a dialogue between the two is what is described as consciousness. According to Ulmer, neuroscience claims that it is this split between the two bodies that allows for decision-making, thus revealing its relevance to flash reason. The split allows for inspiration, for moments of genius that allow for people to make decisions. Like daemons, who are caught between mortals and gods, we are caught between our imagination and our physical bodies. Our being is split, and that split allows us to be in the moment and make quickly reasoned decisions which are so important in our electorate world. This flash reason, attainable through our daemon, becomes, as Ulmer states, practical as a general electricity only within the digital apparatus. This is because the apparatus allows us to receive signals from a voice of our daemon or genius. This requires a technical prosthesis. Wit can be considered a synonym for flash reason within an electorate apparatus. Ulmer makes the analogy that wit is to electricity as commonplaces is to literacy. Traditionally, commonplace was a very specific type of definition essay, and the purpose was to define and either laud or defame a vice or virtue. Crossing the threshold is another analogy that Ulmer uses to describe the moment of decision. He gives the example of Socrates' day of trial. Upon leaving his home, Socrates paused at the threshold to consult his daemon. Due to the fact that Socrates was already so far in becoming literate, the lack of response meant that he could continue without deviation in his plans. Today, the point for us, as Ulmer states, is the coexistence of dialectic and mantic practices. The functionality of our electorate moment is to give users access to this voice, which is drowned out by the crowd and the masses. This genius or wit is silenced by the razzle and dazzle components of the popular voice that do not really matter. Building on Nietzsche's idea of the eternal return, Ulmer states that his fundamental point is that we are not given being in advance, we only become what we are. And it is through our avatars that we do this. During literacy, being was achieved only through writing, but now, in electricity, this can be achieved with digital media. He builds on this by explaining that during flash reason, a division of ourself occurs. The recognition of this division or split is a moment of wisdom where we encounter ourself, but many believe that it is impossible for us to be present in the moment. In order to work in this new world, then, a new approach to how we make decisions must be created. Nietzsche addressed this by abandoning the question of judging appearance and reality, and simply accepted his life. This acceptance of a new criteria represents a major shift as we move away from the literate access of true and false to the electorate access of pleasure and pain. So what does this mean? For Nietzsche, it meant saying yes. Yes to the sensory enjoyment he experienced, and even yes to the feeling of enjoyment. He illustrated this in 3 yeses: yes to a statement, yes to its agreeableness of its aesthetic, and yes to the agreeable feeling itself. This third yes is the determinant of the new axis. Our judgments may come to be based on the sensations of pleasure and pain we may feel. Through electricity and images, these yeses will become our new judgment criteria. This new axis represents a large shift or division within us, which may result in changes in our thoughts, behaviors, and even how we consider ourselves. In conclusion, I'd like to reference an artifact of popular entertainment where public knowledge formation can be said to occur. Disney's Hercules incorporates elements of Greek mythology into its narrative, including the Fates, three sisters who controlled the destinies of mortals. Ulmer contrasts the notion of daemons as that which possesses or shapes a person's life with Spinoza's contactus, meaning striving or the instinct for self-preservation. Hercules defies the Fates and Hades, who conspire to keep him away from the captured soul of his beloved Megara. We can see in him Lorca's duende, the autonomous value of life that is fundamentally connected not to the individual but to the community, something Hercules, the demigod, learns through his adventures in the mortal world. Kingdom Hearts is a video game featuring characters from a lot of Disney movies, among other franchises. Here's Hades and Hercules crossing the threshold into the underworld in one of the game's levels. I feel Kingdom Hearts embodies a certain Korra in that it could only come to exist as a conflation of cultural values. The Disney canon, taken to a new medium in Kingdom Hearts where there is now a player who controls an avatar named Sora, provides a new degree of agency. Sora is a boy with two parts to himself, the person he is and his nobody, an individual unto itself which splits off from him and takes the name Roxas. Sora thinks the nobodies are his enemies, but it is only by being presented with the alternative perspective of Roxas that he is able to come to a greater understanding of his purpose, to defend Kingdom Hearts, the world of pure light that exists at the nexus of all worlds.